أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، وبه نستعين، وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا ومرحبا بكم إلى درس جديد من دروس اللغة العربية بين يديك. في في الأسبوع الماضي أخذنا بعض الدروس وبدأنا بالمناقشة حول التعليم في الماضي والحاضر. وقلنا أشياء كثيرة حول تلك المناقشة. إن شاء الله نواصل من حيث توقفنا. وقبل ذلك قد أخذنا هذا ضمائر الرفع المتصلة، يعني تاء المتكلم، المخاطبة، تاء المخاطبة، ونا الفاعلين، ألف الاثنين، واو الجماعة، نون النسوة. حضرت، 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 حضرنا، حضرا، حضروا، حضرنا. نعم، اليوم نواصل إن شاء الله بهذا الناس. قد قرأنا هذا الناس، قرأناها، أنا متأكد. I'm very sure that we read this last week، الأسبوع الماضي. وهو المدارس والمعاهد العلمية. So we were translating this last week. So let's do another quick one so that we can move on. نعم، قال لم يكن المسجد في الماضي مكان عبادة فقط. So the author says that the masjid was not back then, not just a place where people do ibadah. مكان عبادة فقط. It's not just a place of ibadah. بل كان مدرسة يتعلم فيها. So it was a school. The masjid was a school back then. يتعلم فيها. People learn there. فيها المسلمون. Muslims learn. What do they learn? Al-Qira'ata, they learn reading. Wal-Kitaba, reading and writing. Reading and writing. Wal-Quran, they also learn the Quran. So it was a full education, not just Quranic education. Reading and writing. Wal-Quran, and also learning the Quran. Wal-Ulum al-Sharia, and the sciences of Sharia. Ulum al-Sharia, science of Sharia. Wal-Lugat al-Mukhtalifa, wal-Ulum al-Mukhtalifa, and they also learn language. Different languages and what? And different sciences, excuse me. Different sciences. ثم أقيم الكتاب بجانب المسجد. Thereafter, some kutab, some schools were built. Kutab, like we said, the kutab are not like modern schools, but they were built by the side of the masjid. So when you have a masjid, you have a kutab by the side. وخصص لتعليم القراءة والكتابة والقرآن. And they were specialized. They were specifically for the teaching of what? Quran, Qira'ah, wal-Kitaba, and the Quran. وَشَيْءٍ مِّنْ عُلُومِ الْعَرَبِيَّةِ, and other things in Arabia, other Arabic sciences. وَقَالَ الْكُتَابُ يُشْبِهُ الْمَدْرَسَةَ الْإِبْتِدَائِيَّةَ فِي عَصْرِنَا الْحَاضِرِ. So the Kutab looks similar, something that looks like what we have as a primary school these days. Okay, في عَصْرِنَا الْحَاضِرِ, in our present time. وكان من الكثرة بحيث كان بحيث كان هناك نحو 300 كتاب في المدينة الواحدة. And it was much. They built a lot of them. So much that we have نحو around 300, around 300 كتاب في المدينة الواحدة. In a city, you can have about 300 كتاب. Okay? وكان الكتاب الواحد يضم أحيانا مئات أو آلافا من الطلاب. So for a kutab, just one of them can house أحيانا, sometimes mi'at, hundreds of students, because in the city you have, it shows that the city is a very large one and they have a large population. أحيانا, sometimes mi'at, in hundreds, أو آلافا, or thousands من الطلاب, of students. So a lot of people come here. ثم قامت المدرسة بجانب الكتاب والمسجد. Thereafter, schools started. Madrasa, the former school, started. Now, the difference between the kutab and madrasa quite much. In terms of the curriculum, in terms of the seating arrangement, a lot of things, school management. So the school has more management than the Kutab. The Kutab, you just have the scholar sitting down, students will come with their board, and they will write on it, and they will keep memorizing, learning a lot of things. So it is not a formal education, but the madrasa is quite formal with a lot of registration and a lot of other things. It does not mean the Kutab do not have some registration or some administrative processes, but the madrasa was way better and way more advanced. Okay, so they've started. وكانت الدراسة فيها تشبه دراسة الثانوية العالية في عصرنا الحاضر. So the madrasa back then looks like what we have in the ثانوية now. Okay, well structured. وكان التعليم فيها مجانا, and schooling there was free. مجانا means free. ولم يكن التعليم فيها خاصا بطائفة من الناس. So studying there was not. لم يكن التعليم فيها. Studying there فيها. It wasn't لم يكن. It wasn't خاصا specific. It wasn't specific بطائفة من الناس, to some people among people. Okay, it wasn't specific to some people, not for the rich and the poor are neglected. No. But it says, بل كان يجلس في المدارس. People who sit in those classes, people who would sit in those classes were what? Were Ibn al-Fakir bijanib Ibn al-Ghani. So the son of the poor and the rich will sit together. Wa Ibn al-Tajir bijanib Ibn al-Sani wal Muzari'. So the son of the trader, a very rich trader, like the son of Dangote, very rich trader, will sit beside Ibn al-Sani, someone who manufactures in the company, who works as a laborer or as a worker in a factory, or a Muzari and a farmer. So Tajir back then were rich people. If you don't have money, you can't even trade. So when you're a Tajir, it means you are rich. You have money to trade. وكانت الدراسة فيها قسمين. So studying back then was the studies were divided into two. قسم داخليا وللغرباء أو الذين لا تساعدهم أحوالهم المادية. So you have one is the internal, which we call the border. So we call it the border dakhliya, the boarding students. So these are for Gurabai, these are for strangers. Okay, they are for strangers who come from very far places. They are travelers. They have to travel to come and learn. The Gurabai, are people who are physically challenged. They can't afford to be going home every day. So they are not rich enough to fend for themselves. They are physically challenged, not basically crippled, physically challenged, but they have different challenges. Okay, Allah an ya'ishu ala nafaqati abahim, they cannot live on what their parents can afford. Okay, kisman wa kisman kharij, and you have the day students. So liman yuridu an yarji'a fil masaila bayti hali, those who want to go back, yarji'a, they will return fil masai, in the evening, ila bayti hali. Wa kana at-ta'am yuqaddamu majanan, so they also feed them for free. Majanan is also free. Feeding was free. The talib fil qism dakhili, for those who are boarders alone. But for this student, they fend for themselves. Their parents can feed them. Wafi ya'budullah, for the days, for the bodies, then ya'budullah, they worship Allah. Okay, because they have a work, they have an hostel where they live, so they are more always at the mosques, from mosques to classrooms, for the classroom to their rooms. So ya'budullah, they worship Allah. Wa yutali'un wa yanam. So what they do is just what? Read, sleep, and rise. Yanam. Wa bidhalika kanat kullu madrasatin yahtawi ala masjidin. And that is why back then every madrasa yahtawi ala masjidin. So it has a mosque. So it becomes a tradition that when you see a madrasa, you see a masjid because of these factors. Tahtawi ala masjidin, to have a masjid, waqa'atin lidirasa, and they will have a hall. Back then it was a hall. You see different sheikhs in different corners, and students will gather in the same one, and they will be reciting, memorizing, and shouting. Wagurofin linomi tulab, and they have rooms for sleeping for students. Wa maktaba, and they have library as well. Wa matbakh, they have kitchen. Wa hammam, and bathroom. وكانت بعض المدارس تحتوي, some of these madaris, some of these schools تحتوي, they have what we call what? تحتوي فوق ذلك, above that, above what we have said, maktaba, matbak, and all that, they have what? Ala Mala'ibi. So it is just some of them, not all of them. Ala Mala'ibi Riyada, Riyada. They have some play fields. Some Mala'iba, they have Mala'iba, Ala Mala'iba. So they have some fields. Riyada, where they can play. Al Badaniya, physical exercises. Fil Hawaii Talq, in a very clean atmosphere. Al Hawaii Talq means clean atmosphere, pure atmosphere. وأفضل مثال لهذه المدارس, the best example for هذه المدارس to show us this madaris is what? Al-Jami' al-Azhar is the University of the mosque of Al-Azhar. So Al-Jami' al-Azhar is different from Al-Jami'at al-Azhar or Jami'at al-Azhar. So there are two different things. The mosque, Al-Azhari mosque, existed or was existing before the University of Al-Azhar. So they have the Jamia Al-Azhar, that's the Al-Azhar mosque. People go there and graduate. So you can see graduates of Al-Azhar mosque and you can see graduates of Al-Azhar University. So there are two different graduates. فهو مسجد تقام فيه حلقات. So it's a masjid. تقام فيه حلقات. A lot of sittings, للدراسة حلقات للدراسة, a lot of sittings for studies take place there. تحيط به من جهات المتعددة. So all encompasses it in different directions. Okay. تحيط به من جهات المتعددة. So what encompasses this mosque in all directions? Ghurafun, rooms, different rooms. The sakani to love, for students to sleep, to live. Tusamma bil arwiko. That's what we call the arwiko ruwak. The jam of ruwak is arwiko. Yaskunuha, they live there. Who lives there? Tulabu kulli baladin. Students of all countries, of all countries. Bijanibi wahidin, in one, they live in one direction, in one location. Janibi means in one side. Bijanibi wahidin. So if you come from the same region, you live in one side. Bijanibi wahidin, by one side. Faunaka ruwakun ishamiyin. So for those who come from Sham, Sham starts from Sham. When we say Sham, we mean Syria, Iraq, and other countries, Jordan and the likes. So for Sham. So then we have Ruwakul Maghariba, those who come from the west. Maghariba could mean North Africa. So for North Africa to those in for those in Egypt, those who come from the west will be from Morocco, Tunisia, and the likes. Okay, they come from Morocco, Tunisia, and the likes. Maybe some also other parts, Mauritania, they might be part of them back then. But you have also Ruwakil Atrok for those who come from Turkey, within that region. And you have Ruwakil Sudaniyin, those who come from Sudan. Sudan does not just mean those who come from Sudan. If you come from Nigeria also, they'll pack it as long as you are black. So because you see people who you look like. So then Wahakaga, Wala Yazalu Tulab al-Hazard. And students of Al-Azhar, La Yazalu, still. When you see La Yazalu, it means still. Hatta al-yawm, to date, يأخذون, they take رواتب شهرية, they take monthly stipends. مع دراساتهم المجانية, despite the fact that their studies is what? Free. من ربح الأوقاف, from the profit of the awqaf, of the work they get from the work for endowment. Okay, work is endowment, awqaf is endowment. Okay, eleti kifat, that has been endowed. Ala tulab al-ilm bil-Azhar, for students of Al-Azhar. So what people do is they're very rich people. They create endowment, they give Al-Azhar a lot of money to serve as waqf. So especially graduates of such schools, they give them money and they make it waqf. So if you have someone who has graduated from Al-Azhar and is very rich, such a person will give them money for students because he has also been part of the process. And others as well, even those who did not pass through Al-Azhar, they donate because they know it's about the largest university, it's about the oldest and the largest university that accommodates people from all walks of life to come and study Islam. So the Al-Azhar is very rich university. Wakana Rasa, I think that was where we stopped. So we continue from there. So it says, Wakana ru'asa'u. So it says, Wakana ru'asa'u min khiratil ulama. It says, their leaders, kana ru'asa'u madaris. The leaders of all these schools, madaris. They are min what? Min khiratil ulama. Min khiyaratil ulama. Afwan, it's khiyara. Khiyaratil min khiyaratil ulama. They are the best of scholars. So when you go to the Masjid of Al-Azhar up till today, the scholars you see there, they're usually the finest of their scholars. They are usually more brilliant than the ones you find in the universities because that institution has been in existence long before even the university came. So they use some of their oldest sheikhs in the madaris. So you meet them there, those are their finest scholars. من خيارة العلماء وأكثرهم شهرة, and they are the most popular. So that is why some people prefer to go to the Jamia, this Madaris, than go to the university because they know that they'll be taught by the finest of scholars in the Jamia than in the university. Some people prefer that. Some people do both, but it's very difficult to do both. But some people still try to merge both. They'll go to university and they'll go to the masjid to also learn. So you have that in Saudi as well. If you go to the masjid of the Prophet, you'll see people come there to study. So they have scholars in the masjid. So it has been a tradition since. So, and it says, وَأَكْثَرِهِمُ shuhra. Aktharihim means more. They are the most shuhra, popular. They are the most popular. And it says, لَمْ يَكُنِ الْمُدَرِّسُونَ فِي صَدْرِ الْإِسْلَامِ يَأْخُذُونَ أَجْرًا. So when Islam started, back then in those days, many years ago, لَمْ يَكُنِ الْمُدَرِّسُونَ, those who teach في صدر الإسلام during the Islamic era of Islamic civilization, when Islam was at its peak, it says they don't yakhuduna ajran, they don't collect money, they don't collect stipends. Allah amalim, over what they do. They don't collect anything. And it says wabanda ani tasaati lahadara. And after civilization expanded, it tasaati lahadara. Okay? Civilization expanded. That is, the world is now open to so many things. Wabuniyatil madaris, and schools have now been opened. وَأُوْكِفَتْ وَأُوْكِفَ لَهَا الْأَوْقَافِ, and a lot of endowments have been given to them. So now, جُعِلَ الْمُدَرِّسِينَ فِيهَا رَوَاتِبُ شَهْرِيَّةً, and they began to pay scholars monthly stipends because now there is enough money. So they now give scholars money. تَخْتَلِفُ كَثْرَةً وَكِلَّةً بِحَسَبٍ. So it differs. What they pay them, تَخْتَلِفُ, differs. كَثْرَةً وَكِلَّةً, either more or less. بِحَسَبِ الْبِلَادِ وَالْمَدَارِسِ, depending on where they study, where they teach. بِحَسَبِ الْبِلَادِ, depending on the country where they were, where they are, وَالْمَدَارِسِ, and the school as well, وَالْأَوْقَافِ, and the endowment, the ministry of that endowment, or the endowment that was given. So if the endowment makes more money, they will give them more money. If it makes less money, they will give them less money. That's what it's saying. تختلف كثرة وكلة بحسب البلاد والمدارس والأوقاف. So it depends on those three things. حسب البلاد والأوقاف والمدارس. ولكنها على كل حال, but despite all this, على كل حال كانت كافية. It is still what? It is still sufficient. كانت كافية, still sufficient. In any case, على كل حال means in any case, كانت كافية, still sufficient for them. They can still live. ليعيش, so that you can live. Who should live? Al-Mudaris, to the teacher, Hayatan Toyiba, so you can live a good life. What they will pay you, you might not be able to buy a Lamborghini, buy a sports car, but at least you will live a decent life. You might not even be able to afford a car, but at least you pay your rent, you eat good food, pay your kids' fees, and live a good life. Just a moderate life. So, and it says, Walam yakun yajlisu litadris. Afwan, let me put up the alarm. 1 minute. So it says, ليعيش المدرس حياة طيبة. So he will live a good life. It says ولم يكن يجلس للتدريس. So nobody will sit. لم يكن will sit. Nobody will sit. يجلس للتدريس to teach. إلا من شهد. Except someone who has been certified. شهد له الشيوخ بالكفاءة. Someone who has been certified competent. Kafaa means competency. Is capable, is competent. But not just anybody will go and sit. Usually you see in those mosques, you see chairs. Like in Makkah, you see red chairs. Even in Medina, you see red chairs. You can't just go and sit there and start teaching. There'll be someone who is competent. وقد كان النظام في عصر الإسلام. The practice has been during the Islamic era. Okay, al-awwal, the first Islamic era. And yes, sheikh, so that the sheikh will permit للتلميذ بالانفصال عن حلقته. The sheikh will permit a student to leave his teaching, his classroom. Okay, his sitting. We call it sitting back then. So the teacher will give him permission. Yes, mahalawu. That, oh, you student, you are the best student, or you are a very good student. From what you have learned a lot of things from me. Go and start your own halqa. Go and start your own sitting and teach people. So, وَإِنْشَاءِ حَلْقَةٍ خَاصَةٍ. Teacher will tell him to go and start a private class. That you are now old enough and you are now good enough to teach others. أو أن يعهد برئاسة الحلقة إليه بعد وفاته. Or the teacher will tell the student, and everybody would know. The teacher will tell everybody that once I'm dead, this is the student I want to take my place. This is the student I want. The teacher will nominate the student. This is the person that should take over my seat after I'm gone. This is who should take over the seat. The teacher will have to nominate. That is the meaning of how and young harder. It will appoint. Okay, برئاسة الحلقة, to lead the halqa إليه بعد وفاته, after he's gone, after he's dead. And it says وكانت المدارس, and all these schools كانت أنواعا, so they are different types. فمنها مدارس للتدريس القرآن الكريم وتفسيره. Some are just for teaching of the Quran, وتفسير and تفسير, وحفظه and حفظ, memorization, وقراءته and the different recitations. So qira'ah here means different recitations. So we have about 14 qira'ats, different qira'at, styles of recitation of the Quran. So this is what they mean. Okay. Wakira'ati, it could be recitation of the Quran only. But if it were qira'at, maybe that would be the different ones. So maybe this is just recitation of the Quran. Wa minha madarisun lil hadith khasa, and this is another institution or some other schools that will teach what hadith, just hadith. Hadith and hadith on, they don't busy themselves with the Quran. So for those Quran school, what they busy is Quran. They teach a lot of things about the Quran, memorizing the Quran, reciting the Quran, the tafsir, everything associated with the Quran, and some of the qira'at. But for other schools, some will be just hadith only. You memorize almost all the books of hadith. Okay, so it's very intense, usually very, very intensive learning. They will memorize as all the books of hadith, at least the major ones. If they don't memorize all, at least they'll memorize at least the 6 books of hadith, at least the 6 major ones. Then also join the Mu'atta Imam Malik. So it's not a school for the faint-hearted. So Wahia Aktharu, so that of the hadith is more. Madarisul fiqh. We also have the schools of fiqh. فَقَدْ كَانَ لِكُلِّ مَذْهَبٍ فِقْهِيٌّ. So you have for every school Madarisun khasa bihi. So for every school, there will be a school that will be known for Madhab Maliki, another one for Shafi, and so on. So we also have Waminia Madarisul Tib. So you also have people who teach medicine. Waminia Madarisul Aitam. And you also have school for the Aitam, for the orphans. ويذكر النعيمي في كتابه الدارس
في تاريخ المدارس. So there's a book called الدارس في school, meaning الدارس في تاريخ المدارس. So a teacher الدارس في تاريخ المدارس, a teacher in the history of teaching. So basically the book is talking about history of teaching in Cairo or other countries. ومن علماء القرن العاشر الهجري. So he's one of those scholars of the قرن العاشر, the 10th century scholars. So Asma'a Madaris Dimashq. So he mentioned Afwan, it is Damascus. So the book mentions a lot of things about schools in Damascus. So how schools were established and how teachers teach the methods in Damascus back then. So we also have Al-Fiqh Shafin also. We have Thalathu Wasituna Madrasa. So for the fiqh, I've skipped to the second line. So Wafiya Wahdaha. And it says back then, Wahda Sabu Madaris Lil Quran al Kareem. So in that book, it says that in Damascus back then, you have Sabu Madaris, you have 7 schools, Lil Quran al Kareem, just 7 schools for Quran. And Lil Hadith, we have for Hadith, Sitta Ashara, we have 16 schools for Hadith. Walil Quran wal Hadith Ma. So in schools that teach both Quran and Hadith together, Ma, Thalathu Madaris, you have just 3 schools. And all these schools, as small as they are, you have thousands of students there. And it says, Walil Fiqh Shafi'i, for the school of learning Fiqh Shafi'i, you have Thalathu Wasituna Madrasa, you have 63 schools. Thalathu Wasituna Madrasa, you have 63 schools. So Shafi'i was popular. While the Fiqh Hanafi, you have, for the Fiqh of Hanafi, you have Ithnatan wa Khamsuna Madrasa, you have 52 schools. And the Fiqh of Maliki, Arba'u Madaris, so you have just 4 schools for Maliki. So Maliki is not popular in Damascus. Okay? While the Fiqh al-Hambali, Ihda Ashara, you have 11 schools. So the most popular is what? The school of Shafi'i, which has about 63 schools. And it says, Hadha Ghayru Madaris Tib. All this we have mentioned, apart from the school of medicine, you also have school of medicine. The question would be, how were they teaching medicine back then? Of course, there were no books like the modern beautiful books, colored books we have, but they still had books, and they will still teach surgery. People still give birth, and they do all sorts of things. They treat people from diseases back then, so it's still medicine. What we can say we have now is advanced medicine, but back then they had medicine. And other sciences as well. So, and this is bitasarruf min kitab. So bitasarruf means with some adjustments. Min kitab from the book, min rawai hadaratina Mustafa Sibani, written by Dr. Sibani. So this book was written by Dr. Mustafa As-Sibani. So that is it. So is there anything not understood so far in what we have read? And let's say, so this is a very long passage. So you should get used to it. As you progress, you'll be seeing long ones like this, and they are full of vocabularies. These are things you have to read over and over and borrow expressions, how they are being expressed, so that you can be able to speak very well. So now let me listen to you if you have anything. Hello?
We can hear you, sir.
So is there anything not understood here before we move on?
You can hear you, sir.
Is there anything not understood yet?
Not really.
So you should read this over and over, try to comprehend it. So let's go on. So we have استيعاب تدريب ضع علامة صحيح أو خطأ ثم صحيح خطأ. So let's read this. And this is كان مكان الدراسة في الماضي المسجد والمدرسة. كان
صحيح.
مكان الدراسة في الماضي المسجد والمدرسة.
صحيح.
Does everyone agree?
نعم.
So what's your correct response?
لا، المسجد فقط.
المسجد فقط.
المسجد فقط.
So it should be masjid. Now, so you have يشبه الكتاب في الماضي المدرسة المتوسطة الآن.
خطأ.
وما هو الصواب؟
يشبه المدرسة الثانوية.
نعم، يشبه الكتاب في الماضي المدرسة الثانوية الآن. كانت المدارس تحتوي على ملاعب. كانت المدارس تحتوي على ملاعب.
صحيح. نعم.
كانت المدارس صحيح أو خطأ؟
صحيح.
صحيح. صحيح.
صحيح. قال بعض المدارس، ليس كل، بعض فقط، ليس كل. It's some of them, not everyone, not every.
نعم.
كان المدرسون يختارون كان المدرسون يختارون لكفاءتهم.
صحيح.
يختارون they have been selected. كان المدرسون يختارون لكفاءتهم.
صحيح.
صحيح.
كان عدد مدارس القرآن في دمشق 6 مدارس. صحيح أو خطأ؟ كان عدد مدارس القرآن في دمشق 6 مدارس. صحيح أو خطأ؟
لا، 3.
3 أو 6؟
3.
3، إذا هو خطأ. التدريب الثاني، اختر الجواب الصحيح بوضع دائرة حول الحرف المناسب. أول مكان تعلم فيه المسلمون. أول مكان تعلم فيه المسلمون القراءة والكتابة كان داش. الكتاب، المدرسة، المسجد. أول مكان
الكتاب.
الكتاب.
لا،
المسجد.
المسجد. بس المسجد.
جاء المسجد ثم الكتاب ثم المدرسة. So the masjid was there first, thereafter came al-kutab, thereafter al-madrasa. تشبه الدراسة في المدرسة التي قامت بجانب المسجد الدراسة في المرحلة ماذا؟ الثانوية، الابتدائية، المتوسطة. مرحلة ماذا؟
الثانوية.
الثانوية تشبه الدراسة. نعم. بدأ المدرسون يأخذون رواتب في صدر الإسلام بعد بناء المدارس بعد زيادة عدد المدارس. بدأ المدرسون يأخذون رواتب. ما معنى رواتب؟ أجر. يأخذون أجر. رواتب salaries رواتب.
بعد زيادة عدد المدارس.
ها؟
بعد زيادة عدد المدارس.
نعم. الرابع كانت أكثر أنواع المدارس. كانت أكثر أنواع المدارس. كانت أكثر أنواع المدارس
في القرآن الكريم. Please, I'm coming. للقرآن الكريم.
ماذا؟ كيف؟ كانت أكثر أنواع المدارس.
للقرآن الكريم القراءة والحفظ و...
على حديث.
هل تسمعني؟
جيدا.
قلت للقرآن الكريم وللقرآن الكريم أنواع كحفظ وقراءة.
نعم. للي فيك.
So what is your final answer?
القرآن الكريم.
Nah, that is wrong.
نعم للي فيك. للي فيك.
للفقه. كانت أكثر
نعم.
أنواع المدارس للفقه. If you check, that's what you have. You check. So مذهب. So you have مذاهب, different مذاهب للقرآن. So next.
نعم.
كان أنواع. نعم. أقل عدد من المدارس الفقهية كانت للفقه ماذا؟
للي فيك الشافعي.
لا. أقل.
أوكي أقل.
مالكي.
فقه مالكي. نعم. التدريب الثالث. أجب باختصار عما يلي. لأي شيء خصص للكتاب؟ ماذا كان الطالب يفعل في القسم الداخلي؟ So answer this as your assignments. ماذا تسمى غرف الطلاب في الأزهر؟ اذكر اسم مدرستين غير مدارس القرآن والحديث. ما عدد مدارس القرآن والحديث في دمشق كلها؟ نعم. المفردات. التدريب الأول. هاتي جمع الكلمات التالية من الناس. So bring the plural. What is the plural? رئيس. الوقف. مدرسة. عالم. شيخ. يتيم. اسمه ألف قريب. So you solve that. التدريب الثاني. still بين الكلمتين. So يقرأ. Also do this as soon. الثالث. You have هاتي من الناس ما يلي عكس الكلمة. So you bring the opposite of this كلمة. حاضر. الحاضر. Okay. مرادف كلمة. مرادف means synonyms of كلمة أسرة. Okay. Then جمع كلمة رواك كلمة تعني دون أجر دون أجر. Let me ask you, even this one in class, you should be able to answer this now. عكس كلمة حاضر. الحاضر is what?
غايب.
الغائب. مرادفة كلمة أسرة.
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 أهل. أهل. الأهل.
الأهل. نعم الأهل. نعم. جمع كلمة رواك. جمع كلمة رواك.
الروق.
أروقة. رواك أروقة. كلمة تعني دون أجر. That means دون أجر. دون أجر. دون أجر.
مترادفة.
نعم. That means تعني. It means it can be same مترادفة. It means
Okay. دون أجر.
مجانا.
بلا.
مجانا.
نعم مجانا. نعم.
نعم. ما معنى كلمة الطلق؟
نعم.
عبارة الهواء والطلق. I mentioned it. If you put that, I mentioned it.
Or quiet.
No? Who can remember?
Like conducive. Conducive.
Not entirely. Who remembers?
Pure atmosphere.
Pure atmosphere. Very good. Al-Hawa
Yes,
very pure atmosphere, clean atmosphere. Now, with this, we complete Al-Wahda Al-Khamisa. So we are going to Al-Wahda As-Sadisa. We talk here about Al-Mihan. Mihan means professions. Okay? Occupation, Al-Mihan. Now let's start. Now, وهذا نبدأ بحوار بين من؟ الأب والابن. ماذا حدث أو ماذا جرى؟ قال لعل نتيجة المقابلة طيبة اليوم. الابن قابلت مدير الشركة ورأى شهاداتي لكنني غير متفائل. ما سبب ذلك؟ الشركة تحتاج إلى 10 مهندسين وقدم للعمل 100 مهندس معظمهم لهم خبرات طويلة. الأب ستجد العمل مناسب إن شاء الله. أنا آسف يا أبي لأنني درست الهندسة. لقد تخرجت في كلية الهندسة منذ 2 ولم أعمل حتى الآن. الأب ليست المشكلة في دراسة الهندسة. المشكلة في البطالة التي تعم كل العالم، حيث يتخرج الطلاب في الجامعات والمعاهد المختلفة ولا يجدون عملا. نريد مساعدة أهلنا ونريد الزواج لكننا لا نستطيع. تقول الحكومة ستكون هناك فرص عمل كثيرة للشباب هذا العام. سمعنا هذا الكلام كثيرا. نحن نريد عملا لا كلام. كن متفائلا. This is a very interesting conversation بين الأب والابن. ماذا حدث؟ لعل النتيجة. So the son went for an interview. مقابلة interview. And the father says لعل النتيجة. Hopefully لعل means perhaps, hopefully, la'alla, hopefully, perhaps. لعل نتيجة المقابلة, the result of the interview. لعل, hopefully, the result of the interview. طيبة اليوم, hope is good today. So the son came and the father was asking him, I hope they have been going for interviews, and he says, I hope the result of this, I hope the result of this interview is good today. He went for another one yesterday. So today the father is hoping this one is good. Then the Ibn says, Qabaltu Mudir Sherika, I met the managing director of the company, that's the Mudir Sherika, the MD of the company. Wa Raha Shahadati, and I saw my credentials. Lakinnani Gairu, but for myself, Lakinnani Gairu Mutafa'ilin, I'm not hopeful, I'm not sure, I'm not confident. Mutafa'ilin means I'm not confident. Tafa'il. So if you are not confident, so that was what he told his father. He's not sure this will work out this time, as we normally do. It's not hopeful. So the father says, Masababu dhalika. What is the why? Why are you not hopeful? Then he says that what? Asherika tahtaju ila ashara muhandisin. The company needs just 10 people, just 10 engineers. وَقَدَّمَ لِلْعَمَلِ, and those who came for the work, قَدَّمَ لِلْعَمَلِ, they came for the work. Miyatu muhandisin, 100 engineers came. They need just 10. معظمهم, most of them, lahum khibratun, experience, tawila, long years of experience. So the company needs just 10 engineers, and people came, and you have engineers of 15 years experience, 20 years of experience, and I've just finished school 2 years, so I'm not hopeful. That's why I said, Ana lakinnani gairu mutafa'ilin, I'm not optimistic. I'm not sure I'll get the job. Then the father says, Satajidul amal manasib, you get al-amal, a work al-manasib, befitting one, appropriate one, manasib. Inshallah, if Allah wills. Then the son says, Ana asif, I'm sorry, father. Ana asif, ya abi, I'm very sorry for my father. Li'annani darastu al-handasa, because I studied engineering. I'm very sorry, I studied engineering. Laqad takharrajtu, I've graduated fi kulliyati al-handasa, from the university. So when you use takharraja or takharrajtu, the preposition is fi. Always know that. So takharrajtu fi. Instead of, one would think it should be takharrajtu mean I graduated from. No, in Arabic it says takharrajtu fi. I graduated from Kuliyatil Handasa, the College of Handasa, College of Engineering, Mundu Sanatain, since 2 years ago. Walam a'amalu, and I did not work hatta al-an, up to now. I've not been working. I'm not working up to now after 2 years. And the father says, Laysat is mushkila. The problem, Laysatil mushkila, the problem is not fi dirasatil handasa, it's not in studying engineering. Al mushkila, to the problem, fi bitola, the problem is in the unemployment. Al bitola is unemployment. Don't forget, al bitola is unemployment. Al mushkila to fi bitola, the problem is in the unemployment you have. So you have two vocabularies now, mutafa'ilin, that is being hopeful, being optimistic. Optimistic is mutafa'il. Then you have al-bitola, which is unemployment. So the al-mushkila fil bitolati allati ta'ummu kull al-alam, is the unemployment that engulfs ta'ummu, that encompasses kull al-alam, is around the world, that encompasses the whole world. So it's not just in our region. That's why you're not having a job. No, the unemployment is global. حيث يتخرج الطلاب, where people graduate, students graduate في الجامعات, from university. You can see تخرج في, يتخرج الطلاب في الجامعات, from universities والمعاهد and institutions المختلفة, different ones. ولا يجدون عملا, and they do not get work, do not find work. Then the Abu says, نريد مساعدة, Ali ibn says, Afwan, he says, نريد مساعدة أهلنا, we want to help our families. The family has tried so much for us. You sent us to school, you gave us money and everything. Now it is time for us to assist the family. Nuridu musa'adata ahlina. So if you want to say you want to assist someone, you can say Uridu musa'adata. أريد مساعدتك. I want to assist you. I want to help you. أريد مساعدة أبي. I want to assist my father. So نريد مساعدة أهلنا. We want to assist our father, our family. ونريد الزواج. We also want to get married. Want to get married. لكننا لا نستطيع. But we can't do that. There's no job, no money. Then the Abu says, the father says, تقول الحكومة. The government says, الحكومة is the government. تقول الحكومة. The government says, ستكون هناك فرص. There will be opportunity. ستكون, there will be. فرص هناك, there will be. فرص, opportunity. That's the jam of فرصة. فرص, opportunity. عمل. فرص عمل. There will be work opportunity. كثير, a lot of. The shabab for students. For youth, Afwan. Shabab. The shabab for youths. هذا العام, this year. Then Ali ibn says, Samina هذا الكلام. We've heard this. Samina, we've heard. هذا الكلام, this word. كثير, a lot. نحن نريد عملا. We want action. We want work. We want work. لا كلاما. We don't want stories. لا كلاما. We want work, not stories. We've heard this before. Then the Abu says, Kun mutafailan. Try to be optimistic. The father advised him. Try to be optimistic. Try to be hopeful. At least believe in the government. Because the son is frustrated, is fed up. So that is it. So we'll stop here, inshallah. Continue from tomorrow. See what we understand from there. Isti'ab. Then we'll look at some of the vocabularies. So read the passage again, the conversation again, learn some of the vocabularies and try to put them to use. So we'll meet again tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. جزاكم الله خيرا.
وإياكم.